So the first question I'd like to ask is, what role has church played in your lives that has brought life to you, has sustained you, and given you maybe firmer ground to stand on as compared to people that are without church community? And so I'd like to hear a little bit what church has played in your life as you've journeyed the years. And so let's start with Greg.
Church wasn't always important to me. And when it became important, Ann and I were at church every Sunday throughout all those years, 31 years. But occasionally I would be called away or go away on business. And in those times, those weekends when I was away, I would realize what church meant to me and how much I missed it. Because just by physically keeping yourself away from the body, you don't have a chance to encourage someone who's in a low spot. You don't have a chance to enjoy a funny story that some of your friends have just gathered to tell. You don't have people you can shake their hands and I miss the family aspect of it. And I can't get that online watching a Sunday service online. I can get the content, but I miss all the touching and all the realities that I could share with people if I were there face to face.
Somebody else want to elaborate?
Yeah, I would say that through the years and in many, many geographical locations, my most lasting friendships and relationships have been made in the church. And one thing I did learn is that you don't form relationships in a hurry, and you don't do it over the phone or some other way. It's in person, and so that's something that I really enjoyed being able to do, and having those people to rely on. In some of my darkest moments, when I was living in North Carolina and was talking to a friend in Houston that I'd known for many years, this friend said, God knew 50 years ago that we would need each other now. And so it's really been amazing to me to have friends all across the United States and around the globe, actually, who are friends that I met in church.
I think too, just the environment of being at church, it's a learning environment. We have our people that are listening people that are praying people that will cry with people, people who will rejoice with people. And I can share my heart with those people. I can trust them with who I am. And these have become my go-to people in life. Those are the people that I look for on a Sunday morning to say, hey, I really missed you this week. What's been going on? Well, you haven't texted me or whatever. But I think that's important for the community also to see and build relationship. And for me, that goes back to my young years in church that we went to when I was a child, because we were there when the doors were open. So yeah, it was important to be there.
Yeah, I thought right away of the old illustration of the bonfire, the sticks and whatnot that were in the bonfire. They were contributing, they were part of it, but if you take one of those sticks out, what happens? It loses its flame, and slowly it begins to die, and it dies. So that's pretty much the way I feel, yeah, that you need the fellowship of the church, the fellowship of believers. You need to be part of it. And not only that, I enjoyed being part of it. It wasn't a burden to come. In fact, I love to come to church. I love to be with God's people and to learn. It sets you up for the rest of the week. It really does. So a church is very important to me. Absolutely. Yeah.
Gathering together is God's way. It's the prescription that He laid out for the church.
Yeah.
And when you come together, you are demonstrating the validity and the reason why He began His teaching prayer with the word our. Our Father, not my Father. So we're not islands, we're not individuals. We are gathered together as a family under the banner and leadership of Christ Himself.
Well, if you're broken, this is the place to be. If you have brokenness in your life, if we're wounded, this is the place to be. We need love. This is the place to be. And to feel the family and the encouragement that's available here, I can't get that at home sitting on my love seat and watching online. Living alone, that was exceptionally empty for me. And so I have learned to appreciate all over again this church family. I appreciate church. I don't know, it seems like more than when I was younger, I noticed that. I was born again at the age of 14 and a half, and my first time in Sunday school at that age. And I sat on the edge of my seat, it was just so wonderful to hear all of this. I couldn't understand why the other girls were just kind of sitting there, not too excited. And I just think it's just wonderful to be a part of a church, because gathering is how I grow. Because of what I learned from other people, what I experienced from other people, all in the context of this church family.
That's a really great point, Sylvia, because a church is a place where we build relationships, and you know, it's the same as families. There are some people who are less good than others, let's say, and so we learn to accept each other. That's where transparency starts. Is when you start having relationships, and humility and trust are things that we learn in community, in relationship with each other.
Beautiful.
And a lot of the relationships we build here are closer than we have with our biological families, too. So, I mean, Sunday's my favorite day of the week. Love coming here.
It's evident when I see your smile. As soon as I see you give me that twinkle, and I think, okay, is that the twinkle I need to come over and get my exhortive word, or is that the?
So a number of you guys have talked about family as being pretty primary to what the feeling. What distinguishes the church from other places that you really feel like it's family? Because we see all through Scripture, obviously God as Father, but then we see brother and sister is used all throughout Scripture to talk about the bond that we share as believers, and then especially in the local church. What's that been like for family?
Well, I think you hear the truth.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess the only way that you can actually feel comfortable telling someone the truth is if you have a relationship with them, if you know them. And so families, that's a little bit exaggerated, really, with because they have no problem telling you exactly how it is usually. But you have to get really close to somebody in church to do that. And you have to know them. I mean, a lot of relationships in church that I have noticed is that it's very superficial. And until you spend time with somebody and you get to know them, you're not going to speak truth to them. I mean, first of all, you don't know who's going to betray you and who's not. And so you don't want to just more or less spill the beans, I guess, to just anyone. You want to know that you can trust them. And that's what you can do in church, and that's what you do in families.
Yeah.
On that note, I think we have to be, maybe I'm speaking just to myself, but I know that I have to be careful when I see somebody that they might be new, or even someone I already know that's coming here regularly. They look good, they smell good, they're dressed properly, but boy, they're bleeding. Inside, their tears are crying in their heart. And you know, I'm sensitive of that because I've been there. And I don't know how we can get a hold of that there would be those that would be alert to somebody, those kind of people, because they're here. They're here every Sunday.
So this guy to my left is going to be responsible for connections here at LEFC. So getting into the deeper relational side of things, what have you found to be helpful to go from being just a person sitting in the chair in the auditorium to being a person that's in relationship with others in this church?
You have to make an effort, for one thing. I mean, almost every church that I have ever been in or have visited, people tend to gravitate to the people they know. And that's a problem in any church. And what I've tried to do through the years is make a conscious effort to look for those people that she's talking about and say, how long have you been coming here? Not are you new, but how long have you been coming here? And start a conversation. And you'd be surprised how many people you meet who are either brand new or only been here a couple of weeks or whatever, and they're like a deer in the headlights. They're going to make a beeline for their car and get out of here. They'll come back maybe, but they're not comfortable striking up a conversation. And so it's incumbent on us who are part of this place to make them feel welcome. So does that answer your question?
Yeah. But you made the comment that it takes effort to go from being just a person that's sitting in the chair to being a person that's in community here at the church. And there's a part where it's like reciprocating that invitation. But what have you found also, like, that's caused, what effort has been effective for you, as finding community? Let's put it that way.
May I give an illustration of a grandson?
Sure.
He was about 4 years old, and we were walking in the park. And so he was like running ahead of me. Come on, Grandma, run with me, And I said, Grandma can't run as fast as my 4-year-old grandson. And he pivots around, he comes right back, holds my hand, and he said, does it help if I walk with you? I thought, wow, that could be a sermon title, a book title, Walking with People, and how important that is. So if someone hardly even has the wherewithal to reach out, to make the effort, how can we come alongside of them, find out who they are and walk with them?
Yeah. It's a matter of seeing who's sitting there in your area and other possible needs. Can I encourage them or help them or do something that will be meaningful to them? So I'm always on the lookout for those that are around me. And I guess that's called serving. Just wanting to see people grow and be encouraged, coming to church and just being part of the family. Yeah.
Another example, may I? So, some weeks after my first husband died, I was sitting here in the congregation and we were singing, and it was hard for me to sing. So someone about 3 seats behind me observed how I was responding. She came up, tapped me on the shoulder. She said, Sylvia, come back here and sit with us. That meant everything. here was kind of sitting alone, dangling alone, not used to this type of thing, and sitting with somebody who cared.